Being an introvert and having a personality that people fail to understand is quite a combination. It has its perks and its downsides. Bearing all the characteristics of introversion, intuition, feeling, and judging personality key traits makes you empathetic. But unfortunately, it's not the same other way around. Not being able to find someone like themselves is quite heartbreaking and demotivating. And that is something that is faced by INFJs almost regularly. Come and find out with us why INFJs struggle in finding the love of their lives. Number 8. Not being able to settle. Intimacy is a great attraction, but having a great sense of humor and having a person with whom you can share your interests and goals are even better. Many individuals have these as the definition of a happy relationship, but not all fall into this category, and INFJs are from this category. INFJs, while searching for their loved ones, tend to see with whom they can connect deeply. INFJs rarely fall in love, but that doesn't indicate that love means nothing to them. It just means that they look for someone with whom they can connect mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. They look for a person who can explore their inner selves. They prefer a person who understands them, carves out their hidden romantic side, and lights up their imagination and idealism. As they are introverts, they usually do not get along with everyone and anyone. They're quite particular about with whom they will share their lives. An INFJ lets just one special person into their lives and focuses on growing together with them. That's why when it comes to love and building a proper relationship, INFJs will never settle for less. Number 7. Waiting for the other person to initiate. Not all the reasons are related to the standards that INFJs have. The second most common reason is related to their personality trait, which is being an introvert. Due to this nature, INFJs' relationships either start too late or just end before even starting. They hesitate to make the first move, even if it means just saying a simple hello or initiating the first text or call. Arranging the first meeting is something they will not do, even in their wildest dreams. If an INFJ is not initiating the first move, it doesn't mean that they are scared. But on the contrary, they don't do so because they have a feeling that they would become a burden to someone. They're very conscientious and sensitive. The INFJs prefer to be alone and value space, and as they know the importance of having space and time alone, they feel as if they will interfere with others too if they initiate the first move. It is a total fact that INFJs like to get attached. When it's accomplished, they get the feeling of being loved and wanted. But having to interact first is something that should also be initiated by the INFJs, but that can be helped by them because of their personality trait. Number 6. Waiting for someone who can talk your language. INFJs are the absolute winners of particular interests. Emotional and spiritual intimacy and deep connections are what comfort them to talk about. They want a person who can share this language with them. They get that they might not be able to get the exact person that they want or look forward to spending the life with, but they also appreciate the fact that someone is willing to come halfway to the field. Once they get to know they are wanted and the other person is trying their best to make them happy, they take it as a bright green flag. Number 5. Having casual relationships is not your forte. INFJs take their relationships too seriously. Being in a relationship is something that is a major turning point in their lives. Short flings and temporary relationships are just not something that defines them. The main issue that the INFJs might face would be the fact that they dive in too deep for the good, and sometimes that might be the cause of their severe heartbreak. People mostly don't fall too deep at the very start, but that is exactly what INFJs do. They fall deep right away when they take one person to be the one. They question themselves when they are in a casual relationship, asking, what is the point of all this if it eventually leads to nowhere? They believe in making love permanent and making the person they fell in love with stay in their lives forever. Yes, although they rarely find true love on the very first try, but everybody gets there someday, don't they? Number 4. Being a predictor can sometimes break your heart. This personality trait can sometimes be a boon or a curse. In this case, when an INFJ has seen a person who has initiated the first move and everything seems to go along well, they feel something is off. Again, not a good sign. This forbids them to take the next step. Online dating and blind dates seem to work for many people, but INFJs even find it difficult to agree to the system. They feel they need to get to know the person before going on a date or even sharing any information with them. They're often able to tell who's lying and being fake and who is true to them. Of course, they're not correct 100% of the time, but INFJs believe their guts more often than not. And if they're incorrect, they lose a potentially beautiful relationship. Number 3. Spending time alone becomes a barrier. Let's be honest, INFJs just adore spending time alone. Will being in a relationship allow them that privilege? A big fat no. You don't have to spend every second of your time with your partner, but we all know that time, affection, trust, and loyalty are the essential keys to a successful relationship. You need to spend time with their significant others to build that relationship, but guess that's what terrifies them the most. They would lose their alone time. Quite often, they're misinterpreted to be extroverts because of their actions and behaviors around those people they feel comfortable with. Nowadays, many INFJs have developed the ability to gather social energy and mingle with people, but not to that extent. The roots of a personality trait don't usually leave anything soon, do they? Number 2, toxic and manipulative people make them lose trust. INFJs are nice people, probably the sweetest and the most caring that you will ever find. But sometimes this kindness costs them. People who possess evil traits like being toxic, narcissistic, manipulative, and other traits that are harmful to INFJs affect them if they come in contact with them and get closer. It is well understood by now that when an INFJ falls into a relationship, they completely give it their all. So if INFJs fall in love with such a person, they take it quite hard and it's quite difficult for them to get over them. After such an incident happens to them, they find it hard to believe someone else and give them that position. If that's not worse, having an introverted personality also doesn't allow them to stand up much when they actually should have. But they cannot change themselves much now, can they? Number 1, having the urge to get extra time to make yourself home around someone. Every INFJ would agree that they're not a great first date kind of person. Even though they're fully empathetic towards others and what they think of them and desire deep, close connections with people, they're a private kind of person. They like to keep everything to themselves. They don't like revealing much about them until and unless they're aware that they will be able to share a deep connection with them. As they possess this personality trait, not many people stay in their lives. They rarely say what they want or initiate the first talk, and not all appreciate this character trait. They let very few people into their lives' deep whereabouts and what's going on in their minds. Many people find them to be inattentive, boring, or even dull, as INFJs don't reveal much. They need quite some time to get their inner fun side to come to the surface. But not all people have the patience to give them. They simply think that INFJs are not interested in knowing them or keeping their distance from them when it's not the case. So many potential lovers move away from them even before they can even start anything. Dating for INFJs can be quite difficult and different from others, but they need someone who understands them and can make them feel good about themselves. Someone who could assure them that they're not alone in this world and that they can hang on to this journey of life together. Also, there's nothing wrong with having the desire to have someone who can connect with you spiritually along with emotions and physical intimacy. Having someone with whom you can click both with your heart and your mind would be a blessing, and INFJs seem to know that. They think about the bigger picture rather than just the present. Having to date can be hard for emotional sensitive introverts like INFJs, but believing the fact that everybody is made for someone is essential to keep believing in this beautiful feeling of love.